good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. So, today I have a very special episode for you because instead of a virtual tour, I will be interviewing one of a close friends of mine here within Toastmasters. And she is actually a published author. She has published 14 books to date. And she's also a motivational speaker and an accomplished Toastmaster. So, let's welcome Nacino. Hi, Sha.
Hi, Alex, and hi to all our listeners or watchers. Thank you for having me, Alex.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to interview you. I know that you are so busy, even though it's quarantine.
My pleasure.
So, anyway, I wanted to interview you today because today we'll be talking about something that's very relevant to everyone, and that is personal finance. And you wrote a book about this a few years ago, which I was able to read because you sent me a copy. I still have that copy actually. So the title of your book was Money and Me, and this was your first book. So Money and Me, 9 steps to turn around your finances and live the life you want. So can you share with us how you came to write this book?
Okay, so this is the book that Alex was referring to, Money and Me. And this is actually not my first book. I think this was my ninth book.
Oh, that's your ninth book? I thought that was
Yeah.
your first book.
My first book was Think Rich Yappies in 2011.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
And this one was published in 2014. Um, so you asked me how I came to write the book. Is that correct?
Yes. How did you come to write a book regarding personal finance?
Personal finances. So I used to be an employee. So I was an employee for a bank for 9 years. And in my first year as an employee, I got buried in credit card debts. And then I could still remember I had no savings at that time. I was buried in debts. And I did not even know what to do with my life. I suffered what you call the quarter life crisis. And so there I was sick and tired of my job. I felt like a lost sheep and I didn't know what to do. I wanted to quit my job, but I asked myself, what will I do if I quit my job? And how can I quit my job if I had debts to pay and I had no savings? So I was totally clueless. At the same time, I'm so grateful that I experienced that because that inspired me to start reading books on money. So in 2005, I dived I dived deep into into the personal development area. So I read books on money management. I attended seminars. I sought mentors. And then finally, after 3 years, I was able to zero out my debts and I was able to save and invest. So 3 years, my finances turned around, but my salary did not increase dramatically. And so I was so happy because the thing that helped me was financial education. And I wanted to share that to as many people as possible. But every time I would share with my friends during colloquial conversations for coffee or chocolate or lunch or dinner, I noticed that my friends would shy away from the conversation. So they did not want me to talk about money because money was such a sensitive issue. So I had this strong desire to share the message, but no one wanted to listen to me. And so, in one of the seminars that I attended, the idea of writing a book came to mind. The speaker said, if you want to spread a message and make a difference, you write a book, you record an album, and blah, 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 blah. So, all I was hearing at that time was write a book. So, to cut the long story short, I decided to heed the call and I wrote my first book, Think Rich Yappies. And after writing my first book, I fell in love with writing. And now that's what I do full time. I quit my job, by the way, after 9 years. And now I'm living the life that I've always dreamed of, doing things that I love to do. And the bonus is that I get to earn from doing what I love to do. But you know that you've found your passion when it's something that you love to do with or without compensation. But because there's so much value that you're giving, you cannot help but be compensated.
Yes.
So that's a big bonus.
I'm really happy that you eventually found what you love to do.
Yeah.
When we met in Bohol, you were still employed at the time, right?
Right. I think that was 2011.
That was 9 years ago.
Yes,
during,
2011.
during that time, I was not a broker yet.
Yes.
I wasn't
Both
a
of us
broker
were
yet.
still starting or still finding out what we wanted to do.
Both of us were still finding our way, but you were the one who invited me to the seminar in Manila, which Steph and
Oh,
I attended. And that was where we met our partners in Truly Wealthy.
wow.
And then,
Wow.
and then after that, after we went home from the seminar, we created Truly Wealthy Realty.
Oh my God, I forgot that story, but I could still remember how we met. We were in the beach, literally
We
submersed.
were
And
swimming.
we, Alex, Aisha. And then we got together and then we talked about our plans, things like that. And I think that's
Yeah.
where I about the seminar.
Yes, that's what you shared to me about the seminar because you were joining the contest, a contest at the time, right?
Yep.
One of the competitors. Yeah. So anyway, it's
Beautiful
really
story.
great. It's great how things turned out for both of us.
Right, right, right.
Like I agree with what you said that when you do what you love to do, it doesn't feel like work. And like the compensation you get, the financial compensation you get is just a bonus.
True. That's a big bonus.
So how did you come to change your mindset about money? Did you have any mentors or was it more on like the books you read and the seminars you attended?
Yep. So one book really changed my life, and that book was Rich Dad Poor Dad. It totally changed my mindset on money because before my mindset was if I wanted to make more money, I need to work hard and work long hours. But if that's the case, it meant that I would have less time for myself, less time for my family, etc. And then I got introduced to the concept of passive income, wherein you work smart and then you make your money work for you, and then you don't necessarily need to work hard and work long hours to make money because of passive income. So that really changed my perspective. And also with just a few tweaks with regard to how we handle our money, even if our money does not increase dramatically, we could still dramatically increase or dramatically change our money, our savings, etc. So one of the concepts that I learned from Rich Dad Poor Dad is that it's not how much you earn, but how much you keep
Yes, I
or
agree.
how much you invest.
So when it comes to money management, like how exactly do you handle your finances? Do you split your income into certain percentage?
Yes.
How
So
do you?
I had different formula before, but this is the most current formula that I use now. So I have what you call the 10-10-20-20-40 formula.
Okay, so what can you
Okay.
explain what that
Let
formula
me
means?
explain. So I'm an entrepreneur, right? So I'm an entrepreneur. So 10% of my income goes to tithe. So I give it to a church or to a local charity, things like that. 10% goes to pampering siya.
Okay,
10% goes to loving and pampering siya. So I can use that money to buy plants, but buy whatever I want,
buy
whatever
plans,
yeah, buy plants or buy a
go
course that I
shopping,
want. Yes, so
eat
10% goes to that.
out like that, eating
Yep,
out, entertainment,
true. Anything
travel,
that makes me happy. And
traveling.
travel is included. So anything
Okay,
that would make me happy that I don't have to feel guilty about in spending that amount because I've already set that's the money set aside to loving myself. So 10 tithe, 10 goes loving myself, 20% goes to the stock market.
okay,
Okay. And then 20% goes uh, to some of my medium term to long term plans. For example, if I want to buy another property or if I want to invest in something,
so
so
investment.
20% goes to that. Yes, still investment, but it doesn't go to the stock market. So
Mhm.
it's put in a separate bank account. It's pretty much liquid so that I can touch it anytime I want to. And then 40% goes back to reinvesting in the business.
Okay, so what about your daily needs? Like when you do
I,
groceries, your bills, or where do you get it?
I get that from the 10%.
So you're basically living on 10% of your income.
Yes.
Actually, we have a similar formula. It's kind of similar, but slightly different because mine is it's 10, 10. 45.
Uh-huh.
45. So 10% goes to tithe. So I give to the organization that blesses me spiritually, which for me is CCF, but it can be different with other people. And 10% goes, another 10% goes to my educational fund slash health fund. So if I attend seminars, buy books, or if I work out, go to the dentist, so anything health related and education related, I get from the 10%. And then 40% goes to my investments. So if I invest in the stock market, I just get from the 40%. So mortgage payments, insurance payments, I get it from the 40%. And then 5% goes to my marketing fund. And then what's left is what I can spend, which is around 35%.
Wow. That's
But I like your formula because you're living on only 10% of your income.
because I don't have a lot of expenses. It's
Hmm.
just food, it's just plants or things like that. So I don't have a lot of expenses. By the way, the other 20%, that's where for the medium to long term investment, that's where I get the mortgage for my condo. So yeah,
Yeah, it's the same with us from the 40%, like the mortgage for the condo that we're paying or any other investments, real estate or business. If we need capital for a business, so we just get it from the 40% fund.
yep. And that's
So
a really easy formula to follow, right?
yes, I know it's so easy because you don't need to feel burdened whenever you need to spend for something because you already have a budget for it.
That's
So
true.
that's the beauty of this formula. Like last month, I bought a gimbal for my camera, and it costs like 10,000. So for me, that's a big amount if I get it from my usual fund. But since I have a marketing fund, I just got it from the marketing fund. So it's more easy for me.
Nice. I also want to credit Sir Edward Lee for teaching me this formula. He has a slightly different formula, but I forgot the numbers now, but it's pretty much like that.
Mm-hmm.
I learned it also from him and also from Brother Bo Sanchez. What's good about this formula is that if you're not detail conscious, like for me, I'm not into details. I'm into
Yes,
the
me
big
too.
picture. So as long as I know that the 10% is something that I can spend, I don't need to actually monitor the expenses, the individual expenses.
Yes, it's the same. So you mentioned that when you were still employed, you didn't really know how to handle your finances well, and because of that, you had a huge debt. You had a huge credit card debt. So what was the biggest lesson that experience taught you?
Okay, the biggest lesson I guess that taught me was that I had messy finances not because I wanted or I planned to have a messy finance. I had messy finances because I was ignorant to how money worked. And so the biggest lesson I learned was that the best way to solve any financial problem is financial education. It's not having more salary, it's not having more money, it's not doubling your income, but it's really financial education because even if you're not earning that much, if you know how to invest your money or to really make time work for you and you know where to put your money, it can really have a compounding effect on your money in the long term.
What about for those yuppies that say now, oh, it's easy for you to divide your income because you already have a huge income every month that you can live on that just 10% of your income. But what about me? I'm still starting out. I'm only earning like the minimum wage. So which is
Yeah.
the wage that I'm getting per month is not even enough to cover for my daily needs. Or for yuppies who are earning like just 10 or 15,000 or 20,000 per month. So how can they make it work? How can they set aside a portion if they feel like their income is still lacking?
Okay, that's a really good question. Can I be more vulnerable now? Can I disclose how much I was earning before?
Of course.
Employee. When I was still an employee, I think I was making uh, around 2005. I think I was making around 15,000 pesos gross.
Okay.
That was gross. Now you less, I think about 25% or 30% income tax. And then I needed to pay the rent. I needed to use the money for transportation. I needed to buy myself food, etc., etc. And I had huge debts, right? And my money or my salary did not increase dramatically in the next 3 years. In
Mhm.
fact, I think the increase was only about 4% annually. So it was negligible. But still, because of financial education, you can still do something about it. So if you don't have to live on 10%, medyo imposible yun, on my part during that year. So maybe what you can do is decide for example, before you spend your money, you set aside, let's say, 10%, 20%, or whatever you can set aside, or even 5%, whatever you can set aside, and be disciplined to pay yourself first. So that's another concept that I learned from Robert Kiyosaki.
Yes,
Um,
pay.
Pay yourself first, right? So you decide, okay, how much do you want to pay yourself first every month? So even if you're making only 10,000 pesos or 5,000 or 15,000 pesos, 10% allot that to paying yourself first. Because what happens is you become disciplined in paying yourself first. And then, for example, let's say you're making 10,000 pesos a month, diba? And let's say you need to pay 5,000 pesos to someone you're indebted to. So that leaves you 5,000 pesos to yourself, and you have other expenses pa. So what happens if you decide to pay yourself first? Let's say you committed to paying yourself 1,000 pesos every month first. So that will leave you with 9,000 pesos, and then you will need to pay your debtor, your creditor 5,000 pesos. So you only have 4,000 pesos left. Now that will force you to be creative. Okay, I only have 4,000 pesos left for all my other expenses. And definitely my monthly expenses is more than 4,000 pesos. Now, what will I do? So you ask yourself, what can I do with the 4,000 pesos? And you can do two things. Number one is you can either reduce your expenses or increase your income. So ask yourself, how else can I reduce my expenses so that it will fit the 4,000 pesos amount that I have to spend? Or the better question is, how can I increase my income? So you keep asking yourself that question over and over and over again, and your brain is so powerful, it will give you answers. So there, pay yourself first, make a commitment, be disciplined to pay yourself whatever amount, could be 100 pesos, 200, or 10%, 20%, but be disciplined, because when you do that, then you ask yourself the questions, how can I reduce my expenses or how can I increase my income? And slowly, gradually, but surely, you'll be able to turn around your finances. So it doesn't matter whether you start at 10,000 or 100,000. If you do that, it will really have a dramatic effect in your finances.
So you don't need to be having a huge income every month to start disciplining yourself, to
Right.
pay yourself first. Because what people usually do, especially with the yuppies that I know, is they pay their bills, they spend the income that they receive every month, and then they save what's left. So what you're saying is to do the reverse, which is to
Correct.
save first and then spend what is left.
Exactly.
Okay. So I really find that effective as well because that's what I do. Whenever I receive income, I just allocate, put my income in the appropriate bank accounts so that whatever is left, then that's what I can spend.
Yep.
So it's a really effective method of managing money. And you don't really even have to budget because you know that you can spend everything if you want because
Yes.
that's the
Everything in
amount that's for
a card.
you.
That's true.
Okay, so what changes has happened in your life ever since you improved the way you handled money?
Definitely one of the biggest changes was that I had a stress-free life as regards that money area. So I did not have to worry about, okay, where will I get amortization for my credit cards, or my credit card bills are piling up. I did not have that stress anymore because I was paying my credit card balances in full every month, so I don't have to pay for interest, etc. So the stress level was dramatically reduced, and because of that, I could focus my energy in doing what I love to do. And because where you put your energy is so important. So if you always put your energy into
Worrying
thinking
about.
about, yes, thinking about your worries, your bills, etc., that's where you put your energy. And I really believe that all of us are highly creative. We just don't know it. And if you start, if you start putting your energy in the right place, in unleashing your creativity, you can do so much.
Yes, I agree. So right now, a lot of people are struggling financially because of the pandemic. So what about you? How are you faring? And were you able to, would you say, able to prepare yourself financially for this?
That's a really relevant question, especially in the pandemic that we're facing right now. And I really empathize with the people who've lost their income, and also with businesses who've had to close down their businesses because these were greatly affected by the pandemic. Personally, how am I faring, or is my business faring? We are thriving, and one reason is because I think we were prepared years before.
How
Prepared
did you
in terms
prepare?
of, yeah, prepared in terms of being in the internet marketing scene since 2011. And Alex, in 2018, I rented a physical office in a
Mm,
posh area in Mandaluyong City, and I really loved that office. It was our headquarters. I had a team, and that's where we hold our office, and we were so productive because we had a headquarters, we had an office, and I really loved that office. But around September 2019, I had a hunch. It was a
mm.
hunch gut feel, and I felt like God was telling me, "Sha, close the office." Close the physical office. I had no logical reason to explain why I needed to close the office. Because we rented the office primarily so that we will become more productive. But I had that hunch. And then in Feb 2020, we closed the physical office.
So your lease was also due to end at the
Yes.
time.
My lease was due to end at that time. We closed the office, and we adopted the work from home setup.
Mm-mm.
And then March 15, 2020, the lockdown happened.
Mm.
Oh wow! Oh my God! Where did I? So where did I get that hunch to close the office and then to really follow? And I really believe in the power of prayers.
Yes, I agree.
I really believe in the power of prayers. When God is always guiding us. God is always guiding us. God is always, whispering something to us. Do this, do that. Don't do that. Don't do this. But if we don't listen to the voice of God, we won't be able to hear His promptings. So it's so important to really tune in to the greatest source of all, who is God, to the ultimate source. Because when you pray continually, then you are receptive to His voice, and you can follow. If it's on my own, I couldn't do what I'm doing right now.
Mm-mm.
So I really credit everything to God, because I felt like it was Him who told me to write a book. It was Him who told me to do what I needed to do. I just had to follow. I forgot to mention, Alex, that when the calling to write a book came to mind, I heard it in my prayer. I felt like God was telling me, "Sha, write a book." And I wanted to say, "God, why are you asking me to write a book? You know that writing is my Waterloo. I'm not good at writing. I hate writing. Math is my uh, I'm a math person. I'm into numbers." But I felt like God was telling me, "Sha, you need to write the book, because this is not for you. This is for the people who will be blessed by your books." I felt I was serving Him by following Him, but in the process of obeying God, He was actually doing me a favor, because He led me to discovering my passion, which is writing. And after I wrote my book, I became a speaker. I got invited to speak. So everything just followed. So my advice really would be to keep on praying. Really set aside time to pray, especially when you're so busy and you feel like you don't have time to pray. That's the time when you need to really sit down and just spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes a day to really just talk to God, just you and God, one on one, and to tune in to God. So yes, we were able to prepare financially prior to COVID, and even our business was able to prepare, because we've been in the internet scene. We've been doing online summits, online courses. prior to the pandemic. And because of that, it was just business as usual for us. Yes, I had speaking engagements that were canceled, and these were my dream speaking engagements. I was supposed to travel to South Africa to speak at the Global Speaking
Really?
Summit. Yes, and I was supposed to
One of
travel
my
again
dream
to
countries to go to.
yeah, I heard it's a
South
beautiful
Africa.
country.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to travel to the Maldives again to speak in a big convention, but those were canceled because of the pandemic.
Maldives and South Africa.
Yes, di ba? Ganda
Wow.
ganda. Oh my
Yeah.
God. But ganun talaga eh. So you just need to adjust, di ba? It's something that I don't have control over. So what we did was we launched summits. So we launched a summit in April and then another summit in August. And
So
we
what
were
type of summits are these?
HR Summit Global. So we had 10,000 participants from 32 countries. And in the World Gratitude Summit, we had 15,000 plus participants from 49 countries.
Mm.
So you just need to be agile and be flexible. And I
Yeah.
think for all the entrepreneurs or all the people who are affected by the pandemic, I still think and believe that this is the best time for you. This is the best time
Why would you
for you.
say that? Because like this time right now is something that people just want to be, over. Like I
Right?
hope the pandemic's gonna be over soon. So why would you say that this is the best time for entrepreneurs out there?
I think this is the best time because this is really shaking you up, right? Shaking you to the core, and you're uncomfortable. And when you're uncomfortable, you are forced to really think out of the box, to really desperately need the help of God. Pray as much as you can, and then really ask yourself, what can I do about this? It's time to be innovative. We will see that a lot of businesses will be launched during this pandemic. These are the
Yeah.
people who saw opportunities
Mhm.
amidst the challenges. Because when you see things through the lens of gratitude, you will see that this pandemic is actually offering you a beautiful opportunity to restart. It may be difficult, but for me, I'm talking based from experience. So many of my breakthroughs happened when I was down on my knees, when I was really, really in my rock bottom.
Mm.
That's when my breakthroughs happen,
So this can be a time for those who are struggling to really break through.
right? My mentor told me that, during the times of struggles and challenges, two things can happen. Number one is you will have a breakdown or you
Yeah.
have a breakthrough. So only two options. And then you choose which of the two do you want. Do you want to have a breakdown or do you want to have a breakthrough?
Yes, I agree with you that this time has really created a different kind of opportunity for entrepreneurs out there because this has really leveled, no, not only leveled, but changed the playing field.
Right?
So the businesses that were thriving before are struggling now, and the businesses that may have been struggling before can be given an opportunity to break through now. And also, there are new types of businesses that people can create to feel the need. There are all sorts of new businesses coming up to feel the need of people out there because it has really changed the business landscape.
Exactly.
So when the pandemic started, my husband and I were a bit worried because as I mentioned before the interview when we were talking that our business, which is Gamers Enclave, it's leisure related, so it's not really necessary. It's not a necessity. So we had to close it down. So we were a bit worried before, like we get money there for our daily needs. But then after that, after we like what you mentioned, we pray a lot. We prayed a lot, and we really asked God for guidance. And after that, what happened was that we felt at peace, and we just felt that it's okay. God will take care of us and he will guide us. He will give us the wisdom on what to do next. So, we just listened to him, and even though we had to close down our business, we're still doing okay with our real estate and construction business. So, God will open even though he closes the door, he will open other doors.
Yes. And when you make God your business partner, you just do your best and then you entrust the results to God because that is His department.
Yes, I agree. So speaking about mentors, because you kept on mentioning that you had mentors. So who are if you can name names,
Yeah.
did you have any mentors, or who are your mentors for do you have different mentors for different aspects in your life?
Yep. I have a lot of mentors. I have a lot of mentors. And by the way, when we say mentors, these are mentors that we don't really need to speak with like one on one or speak on the phone. These could be virtual mentors, mentors via books, podcasts, or YouTube videos, or maybe through their online courses, online summits, etc. So I have a lot of mentors. I can name a few. So, of course, Brother Bo Sanchez,
Yes. Is your
my
top one?
yes, he's always there, and he's my closest mentor also because I can reach him. I can actually talk to him. And then my other mentors would be Brian Tracy, Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins, Andrew Matthews, and a lot, so many mentors. I've also invested in online courses, online summits. I really bought these things because I really believe in the power of education. So education is one thing that I don't skimp. Hindi ako nagtitipid doon. Like I really invest, I really put my money there, put my energy there because think about this, 'di ba? For example, I invested I think my latest
What was the
investment.
most expensive like seminar or course that you paid for?
Okay, let me think. Um I think I invested around okay, 5,000 US dollars for an online course.
What sort of online course was that?
Um
Around 250,000?
yes, 250,000. So I'm not sure if I can share the name of the course, but that was the most expensive. And in the late, I think that was last year. And then around mid of this year, I bought an online course for 2,000 US dollars. And then I paid for a mentoring, for an 8-week mentoring for around 1,000 US dollars.
These
Um,
are all foreign mentors because it's all
foreign
done.
mentors. Yep.
So, what courses or seminars can you recommend for those who are just starting, or not even paid courses, maybe free resources for those
Yes.
who are starting and who want to learn more about how they can manage their finances?
Okay, definitely I'd recommend that you read the book Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. If you haven't
Yes,
read
I highly recommend that too.
it, yes, I highly recommend. From that book, ang dami ng ideas or ang dami ng inspiration na bubukas sa heart ninyo. And then listen to podcasts. Podcasts are free resources. So if you
What podcasts do you recommend?
okay, so I
Maybe
listen
just
to
top of mind because I know you listen to a lot.
yes, I listen to a lot. Wait, let me check. Right
Maybe
now,
your top three.
yeah, I listen to okay, I listen to Stu McLaren's podcast, Pat Flynn's podcast, Amy Porterfield. So these are when it comes to online businesses, right? When it comes to inspirational, I listen to Dr. Edward Sri's podcast and then Maggie Warrell's podcast. What else? Top of
So
mind.
for the business, Amy Porterfield.
Amy Porterfield. And then for self love, there's a podcast that I love listening to. It's called the Self Love Fix. Yep. And then another podcast is the Heal, Survive, and Thrive podcast by a psychologist. What else? We're coming. Of course, I have my own podcast, the Author's Voice podcast. So if you're into personal development, if you're into books, you can also listen to that, subscribe to that.
So where can we access your podcast?
You can access it via the Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, or Spotify. So just search for the Author's Voice podcast by Nacino.
How often do you release new episodes or new content?
Okay, ideally we release every week, but sometimes it's twice a month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So podcasts are actually going in right now.
Yes,
Aside
it's
from YouTube videos, because people listen or watch videos more than they read nowadays.
yes.
So I
Uh,
think authors should have like audiobooks aside
that
from the written books.
Exactly. Now I read a lot of books. Okay, correction, I listen to a lot of audiobooks.
Yeah, me too. I listen more than I read now.
Yep, I listen more than I read because you know I can listen while watering my plants, while doing the dishes or cleaning the home, or exercising, etc.
Okay. So aside from that, aside from the podcasts and the books, how about seminars that you recommend?
Yeah, a lot. So you can go to writeuniversity.net, WRITE university.net. That's my school. That's our school, and we offer a lot: public speaking, happiness, gratitude, for HR people, for business people, etc. So we have a lot of online courses there and online summits. Aside from that, online courses.
Are these paid courses?
Yes, some are paid and some are free.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So, what three characteristics do you think an entrepreneur should have? Like, that's my last question.
Okay, that's a bit impromptu. All right, let me answer that. Number one for me is gratitude. Okay, when you see things through the lens of gratitude, you will, when you see things through the lens of gratitude, you will serve your customers really well because you feel that you are so blessed and you cannot help but share your blessings through your products. So number one is gratitude, and that's also important when it comes to dealing with your employees. So when you are grateful, also you show appreciation to your employees and also to your clients, to your suppliers, etc. And gratitude is so important to build healthy relationships and to build trust. And as we know, trust is the foundation of any business. People would like to do business with you if they trust you. Okay, so that's one gratitude. Next is creativity. As an entrepreneur, it is so important to be creative because when you are creative, you can really innovate. You can be in any situation, you can be in any under any economic situation, and you can turn your business around through creativity. And through creativity as well, you can offer really great products that will be really useful to your target audience. And number three for me is okay, let me see the exact word: responsibility. Okay, when I say responsibility, responsibility not just in terms of serving your clients, not just in terms of, dealing with your suppliers, but for me, responsibility when it comes to the community where you operate in, and also when it comes to the environment. So, for example, if you have a business, let's say you're in the manufacturing business, right? Responsibility means, do you think about what happens to your byproduct after the customer uses your product? Let's say you're into shampoo business, etc. What will the customer do with the packaging? Will they just throw that away? Then what is the cost of that to the environment? So if you're an entrepreneur, you also need to think about that, not just when you get your money after you sell your product, right? You also think about what is the consequence of my business to the environment and to the community. Another example is, let's say you have a factory, right? You have a factory and you think, what? How is my factory doing in the community where it is operating? Am I contributing to noise pollution? Am I contributing to air pollution? If that's the case, what can I do about it? How can I reduce the air pollution? How can I reduce the noise pollution? Because as an entrepreneur, don't just think about your bottom line, which is profit. You also need to think about the bigger picture, the environment, the community that you operate in. So there, yeah, gratitude, creativity, and responsibility.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sha, for sharing your wisdom with us and your experiences. I really appreciate the time that you've spent here to share with us today.
Thanks. And it's also an honor for me to be able to share this. It's so refreshing because it's been a long time since I talk about money management. And while you were asking me questions, those terms that I've been using for the past few years just came out. So it's just in my heart and then top of my mind, and it just came out. So thank you for inviting me to share to your group as well.
Thank you. Thank you also, Sha. So Is there any event that you would like our viewers to attend, or how can they connect with you?
All right, so to all the viewers, if you are on Instagram, you can find me on Instagram at Sha_Nacino. So we can connect there. You can DM me. That is my least crowded social media account. So you can follow me there, and then you can reach me via DM. Sha_Nacino.
Okay, so thank you so much. I learned a lot from you. I actually learn a lot from you every time we talk.
You're welcome,
Thank you.
Anna.
Thank you for your time, Sha. I
You're
hope to speak with
welcome.
you again soon.
Yeah, see you soon. God bless you.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.
I'm gonna stop this.